we're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort, and China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Cryptocurrencies, what are your thoughts on a digital dollar? Thank you.
Well, I think cryptocurrencies, we don't really have an adequate framework to deal with the different issues that they pose from a regulatory perspective. There are issues around money laundering, Bank Secrecy Act, use of digital currencies for illicit payments, consumer protection, and the like. And while there are several agencies that arguably have some ability to address this through regulation, I frankly don't think we have a framework in the United States that is quite up to the task of putting in place a regulatory framework that we need in the future. So I think that's a topic that's well worth addressing. With respect to digital currencies and central bank digital currencies, I know the Federal Reserve is looking at this. There are a lot of issues in connection with it, different ways in which that could be rolled out and organized, and potential financial stability issues associated with it. So I know this is something they're looking at, as are many other countries. There could be an argument for a central bank digital currency, but I believe it's something we need to study carefully and be careful about. The Fed is in the midst of rolling out a new program called Fed Now that will result in 24/7 real-time settlement. And I think that in and of itself will provide an infrastructure that will result in faster and safer payments in the United States.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that second video just to make you think. And we have Janet Yellen talking about raising interest rates. Guys, we know they can raise interest rates. The balance sheet is too big. But we do know what? The yields are going to rise. We know inflation is going to run wild. Remember, they caused the problem. Wait for the reaction and run in with the solution. As Janet Yellen states, a lot of this money is for spending for 8 to 10 years down the road, guys. And she also slips up and said a lot of it's going to come from raising taxes. And that's the reason why everybody's moving to Texas. Elon Musk, now 50 cents. And when Janet Yellen is asked about crypto, what does she say? Money laundering, drug dealing, illicit activity. But we know the banks are what? The biggest drug dealing, money laundering, gun running son of a guns. Because we know when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. Y'all have a wonderful day.
It could cause some very modest increases in interest rates to get that reallocation. But These are investments our economy needs to be competitive and to be productive. And I think that our economy will grow faster because of it.
Secretary Yellen, we've had some fascinating conversations today, as Thorald just indicated. One of the early ones today was with Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan, who said we are in a hugely strong economy and that you're going to have a boom, his words, but also that, quote, you're going to have inflation. I'm wondering how you describe the arc of the economy at the moment, whether we're in some Goldilocks, not too hot, not too cold moment, or whether you see signs of running too hot and risks of inflation's out there.
So I agree with Jamie that we're about to see, assuming things go well with addressing the pandemic, a big improvement in the economy in the coming months. Things are going to open back up. Workers and households have enough to spend to power a strong recovery. It's my expectation that next year we'll be back to full employment. There will certainly be some adjustments along the way. We've had a huge shift in spending away from services and toward durable goods and manufactured goods. And I expect as things open up, we'll see a shift in spending back in the other direction, some reallocation of workers as that occurs. For the next 6 months or so, I expect to see, for transitory reasons, some price pressures, but I think the causes are transitory due to various bottlenecks and so-called base effects with respect to inflation indices. Short run, the demand for workers is increasing, and many people still aren't able to return full-time to work because they still have children out of school or are concerned about health issues. But I expect all of this to be transitory, and I think the economy is going to get back on track. I don't anticipate that inflation is going to be a problem, but it is something that we're watching very carefully. And if it is a problem, which I don't expect, there are certainly tools available to tackle it.
Well, let me talk about those tools a bit. You attracted some attention earlier today by saying that the Fed might have to look at some very modest increases in interest rates if the economy overheats as your spending plans are enacted. Under what circumstances do you think that might happen, and how soon might that be a possibility?
So let me be clear, it's not something I'm predicting or recommending. If anybody appreciates the independence of the Fed, I think that person is me. And I know that the Fed can be counted on to do whatever is necessary to achieve their dual mandate objectives. I don't think that, aside for some transitory increases in inflation in the coming months because of these base effects and because of various adjustment factors and bottlenecks that we're encountering, shortage of semiconductors, oil prices and energy prices rising back to previous levels. I don't think there's going to be an inflationary problem, but if there is, the Fed will, I can be counted on to address them. My guess is that we're going to see substantial recovery this year, and I believe that by next year, unemployment is likely to drift to levels that we would associate with full employment. So we'll have a good, strong economy. President Biden has also proposed further substantial spending packages we would love to see enacted into law. They address longer-term needs of our economy for historic investments in infrastructure, in research and development, in training of workers, investments that we've really ignored or shortchanged, I believe, for far too long. But those investments will be phased in gradually over time. The proposals that we have are for 8 to 10 years and involve more modest increases in spending and tax increases to largely pay for them. And that
trends you just referred to are not only bigger than are needed at the moment, but somewhat risky because they could overheat the economy. What's your response to that?
Well, I frankly disagree with him. I don't see the rescue package as overheating the economy. As I said, it's something we're watching very carefully, and there are tools to address it in the event that that occurs. But I really feel that this is necessary to make sure that the pandemic doesn't result in permanent scarring of workers and families in our economy, that we're able to get back on track quickly. In contrast, if you think about what happened after the financial crisis, while we had a fiscal package that addressed it, it was really small, and it took almost a decade to get back on track. And we lost a lot in the process. And I think that in terms of thinking about long-run potential output of our economy, it's really critical that we get people back to work and we get the economy back on track. And I think